Hello friends, I'm Dr. Dinesh Harkut. We'll take you the short tour which will cover the basics of computer network. In this video series, I will cover all the topics related to computer networks like what is computer network, what is internet, layered protocols, protocols at application layer, transport layer, network layer, link layer, issues related with network securities and various firewall. Electronic mail, that is email, has been around since the beginning of the internet. It was the most popular application when internet was in its infancy state. It remains one of the internet's most important and utilized applications. As with ordinary postal mail, email is asynchronous communication media. That is, people send and read messages when it is convenient for them, without having to coordinate with other people's schedule. In contrast with postal mail, electronic mail is fast, easy to distribute, inexpensive. Modern email has many powerful features including message with attachments, hyperlinks, HTML formatted text, or even embedded photos. We will see the details of this protocol next. Now we examine the application layer protocol that are at the heart of internet email. But before we jump into an in-depth discussion of this protocol, let us take a high-level view of the internet mail system and its key component. A high-level view of the Internet mail system is depicted, which has three major components: agents, mail servers, and the simple mail transfer protocol, that is SMTP. User agent, also called as a mail reader like Outlook Express or Apple Mail, which facilitates user to compose or to read or to reply to or forward or save messages. Other two components are mail server and SMTP. Mail server, the second important component of Internet mail system, forms the core of overall email infrastructure. It is the mail server one who maintains for each user a mailbox which contains incoming messages for the user and maintain message queues for outgoing, that is to be sent messages. That is, when user agent compose message, it send it to the his mail server where the message is parked in server's outgoing message queue. And when user wants to read the incoming message, user agent fetch the message from his mailbox located in his mail server. Hence, mail server maintains both inbound and outbound messages. SMTP, the third component, is at the heart of Internet electronic mail. And as mentioned, SMTP transfer messages from sender's mail server to the recipient's mail server. SMTP is much older as compared to HTTP. Although SMTP has numerous wonderful qualities, as evidenced by its ubiquity in the Internet, it is nevertheless a legacy technology that possesses certain typical characteristics. For example, it restricts the body, not just the header, of all mail messages to a simple 7-bit ASCII character. These restrictions made sense in early 1980 when transmission capacity was a major issue and no one was emailing large attachment or large images, audio, video files. But today, in the multimedia era, the 7-bit ASCII restriction is a bit of pain. It requires binary multimedia data to be encoded to ASCII before being sent to SMTP. And it requires the corresponding ASCII messages to be decoded back to binary after SMTP protocol transport it. HTTP does not require multimedia data to be ASCII encoded after transfer. Let us now take a closer look at how SMTP transfer a message from sending mail server to a receiving mail server. We will see that SMTP protocol has many similarities with protocols that are used for face-to-face human interaction. First, the client SMTP running on sending mail server host has established a TCP connection to port 25 at server SMTP that is running on receiving mail server host. If the server is down, client tries again later. Once this connection is established, the server and the client perform some application layer handshaking, just as humans often introduce themselves before transferring information from one to another. SMTP client and server introduce themselves before transferring the information. During this SMTP handshaking phase, SMTP client indicate the email address of the sender, the person who generated the message, and email address of the recipient. Once the SMTP client and server have introduced themselves to each other, client send the message. SMTP can count on the reliable data transfer service of TCP to get message to the server without error. Client then repeat this process over the same TCP connection if it has other message to send to the server. Otherwise, it instructs TCP to close the connection. Message is simply composed in simple 7-bit ASCII character. To have a better insight and to illustrate the basic operation of SMTP, let us walk through a common scenario. Suppose Saina wants to send a simple ASCII message to Mahi. Here, Saina invokes her user agent for email, provides Mahi's email address, for example, mahi@someschool.edu, compose a message, and instruct the user agent to send the message. Next, Saina's user agent sends message to her server, where it is placed in message queue. Next, the client side of the SMTP running on Saina's mail server sees the message in the message queue. It opens a TCP connection to a SMTP server running on Mahi's mail server. Next, after initial SMTP handshaking, the SMTP client sends Saina's message into the TCP connection. At MySmail server, the server side of SMTP receives the message. MySmail server then places the message in Mahi's mailbox. Next, Mahi invokes his user agent to read the message at his convenience. Here, it is important to observe that SMTP does not normally use intermediate mail servers for sending mail, even when the two mail servers are located at opposite end of the world. That is, direct connection, TCP connection is established between sender and receiver. If by any means receiver server is down, the message remains in sender server and wait for new attempt, but message does not get placed in some intermediate mail server. Let us next take a look at an example transcript of message exchanges between an SMTP client and SMTP server. The host name of client in this case is nptel.edu and the host name for the server is it.iitb.edu. The ASCII line prefaced with character C are exactly the line the client sends into its TCP socket, shown in black color. And the ASCII text line prefaced with character S are exactly the line the server sends to its TCP socket, shown in blue color. The following transcript begins as soon as TCP connection is established. In the given example, client sends a message, "Do you have a ketchup? How about pickle?" from the mail server mycompany.com. To the mail server newcollege.edu. As a part of the dialog, a new client issued 5 commands, specifically HELO, an abbreviation for hello, mail from, receipt to, data, quit. These commands are self-explanatory. Client also send a line consisting of single period, which indicates the end of message to the server. In ASCII terminology, each message sends or ends with CRLF, where CR stands for carriage return and LF stands for line feed, respectively. The server issues replies to each command. Each reply is having reply code and some optional English language explanation. We mention here that SMTP uses persistent connections. That is, if the sending mail server has several messages to send to the same receiving mail server, it can send all the messages over the same TCP connection. For each messages, the client begins the process with new mail from mycompany.com, designated at the end of message with an isolated period, and issues a quit only after all messages have been sent. To have a better understanding, it is highly recommended that you use Telnet to carry out the direct dialog with SMTP server. To do this, issue a Telnet server name at port number 25, where server name is the name of local server. When you do this, you are simply establishing a TCP connections between your local server and the mail server over a port number 25. After typing this line, you should immediately receive the 220 reply from the server. Then issuing the SMTP commands hello, mail, receipt to, data, CRLF, and quit at the appropriate time. This will let you send email without using email client, reader, like Outlook, etc. We will now briefly compare the SMTP and HTTP protocol. Both protocols used to transfer a file from one host to another. Both have ASCII commands or commands in ASCII format. HTTP is mainly a pull protocol, that is, someone loads information on web server and user uses the HTTP protocol to pull that information from server at their convenience. In particular, TCP connection is initiated by the machine that wants to receive a file. On the other hand, SMTP is primarily a push protocol. The sending mail server pushes the file to receiving mail server. In particular, TCP connection is initiated by the machine that wants to send a file. HTTP transfers files from web server to a web client, typically a browser. SMTP transfer a file, that is email message, from one mail server to another mail server. When transferring a file, both persistent HTTP and SMTP uses persistent connection. SMTP requires each messages, including the body of messages, to be in ASCII 7-bit ASCII format. If the message contains ASCII characters that are not 7-bit ASCII, for example French character, or contain any binary data such as an image, then the message has to be encoded into 7-bit ASCII. HTTP data does not impose this restriction. As far as handling of document is concerned, consisting of both text and images, HTTP encapsulate each object in its own HTTP response message. Internet mail places all of the messages object into one message. SMTP server uses CRLF, that is carriage return and line feed, to determine the end of message. As discussed earlier, simple mail transfer protocol, that is SMTP, is defined in RFC 531 and 822, that is request for complaint document, which defines the entire syntax for how to compose an email message. Typical template of the message is shown, which mainly consists of two parts, header and body, separated by a blank line. As in case of our normal snail mail letter, which contains information like address of the receiver, address of the sender, return address at the top of the letter. Similarly, email messages header specifies peripheral information like series of headers line like from receiver's address to sender's address, may include subject as an optional line, as here in case to hr underscore unit 1 dot @tata dot in is the recipient address. From sam@gmail.com is the sender's address. Subject is leave application. One thing to be noted here is that these header lines are different from the SMTP command, that is from and to, which we have seen earlier. Body of the text, that is in simple 7-bit ASCII, is separated from header by a blank line. We have seen that SMTP is a push protocol and HTTP is a pull protocol. Once SMTP delivers the message from sender's mail server to receiver's mail server, the message is placed in sender's mailbox. Here we assume that receiver reads his mail by logging into server's host and then executing a mail reader that run on that host. This was a typical scenario of until early 1990. But today, mail accesses uses a client-server architecture. A typical user reads email with a client that execute on user's end system, for example, on an office PC or laptop or smartphone. Given that recipient execute his user agent on his local PC, it is natural to consider placing a mail server on his local PC as well. But this approach, sender's mail server would dialogue directly with receiver's PC. There is a problem with such approach, as we know that mail server manages mailboxes and run the client and server side of SMTP. If the receiver's mail server were to reside on his local PC, then receiver's PC would have to be remain always on and connected to internet all the time in order to receive a new mail which can be arrived at any time. This is impractical for many internet users. Instead, a typical user runs a user agent on the local PC but access its mailbox stored on an always on shared mail server. This shared mail server is shared with other users and is typically maintained by the user's ISP, that is Internet Service Provider. To have a better insight, with the help of illustration, we will discuss in detail how the messages travel from sender to receiver. As we know, at some point along the path, the email message needs to be deposited in receiver's mail server. This could be done simply by having sender's user agent sends the message directly to the receiver's mail server. And this could be easily accomplished by SMTP protocol. SMTP has been designed for pushing email from one host to another. However, typically the sender's user agent does not dialogue directly with recipient's mail server. Instead, sender's user agent uses SMTP to push email message from its own mail server, and then sender's mail server uses SMTP as an SMTP client to relay the email message to receiver's mail server. You may be thinking, why to have two-step procedure when it can be done in single step easily, isn't it? But this is primarily because without relaying through sender's mail server in case of failure delivery of the message, sender's user agent does not have any means to recourse or to retransmit to an unreachable destination mail server. By having senders first deposit the email at its own mail server, sender's mail server can repeatedly try to send message to receiver's mail server, say every 30 minutes, until receiver's mail server become operational. Another issue is, how does a recipient running a user agent on his local PC obtain his message which are sitting in mail server within a receiver's ISP? As receivers, user agent cannot use SMTP to obtain the messages because obtaining the message is a pull operation and SMTP is a push operation, push protocol. This problem can be resolved by introducing a special mail access protocol that transfer message from receiver's mail server to his local PC. There are currently a number of popular mail access protocol, including Post Office Protocol version 3, popularly known as POP3, POP3, and Internet Mail Access Protocol, that is IMAP, and HTTP. In summary, HTTP is used to transfer mail from sender's user agent to sender's mail server. SMTP is also used to transfer from sender's mail server to recipient's mail server. A mail access protocol such as IMAP or POP3 or HTTP can be used to transfer mail from recipient's mail server to recipient's user agent. This is how mail is traversed through from senders to receiver by using SMTP and Internet Access Protocol. POP3 protocol is an extremely simple mail access protocol. Being short and simple, its functionality are rather limited. POP3 begins when the user agent, that is the client, opens a TCP connection to the mail server on port 110. With the TCP connection established, POP3 progresses through the three phases. One, authorization phase, second, transaction phase, and third is update phase. During the authorization phase, user agent sends username and password to authenticate the user. During transaction phase, user agent retrieves messages. In addition, during this phase, the user agent can mark messages for deletion, remove deletion marks, or obtain mail statistics. And during update phase, which occurs after client has issued the quit command and ending the POP3 session, at this time the mail server deletes the message that were marked for deletion. In POP3 transaction, the user agent issues command and the server responds to each command with a reply. For example, as shown in figure, there are two possible responses, plus OK, sometimes followed by server to client data, used by a server to indicate that previous command was fine, or minus ERR, that is error, used by a server to indicate that something was wrong with the previous command. As illustrated here, first phase of authorization, which has two principal commands, username and password, wherein client provides username as Ganesh followed by plus OK command by the server, and password as bond007 again followed by plus OK command by server. Second phase, transaction phase, the list command lists the number of messages parked at server with the size of each message. Here there are two messages listed, one with 498 size and second with 912 size. Another command is retrieve, which will retrieve here the retrieve one, which will retrieve first message. Next command is delete one, that is first message is deleted. Likewise, we're having retrieve, delete, list commands as a part of transaction phase. We'll see some more about POP3 protocol as well as IMAP protocol. Basically, POP3 works in two modes. There is download and delete mode and download and keep mode. If the recipient is nomadic and want to access his mail message from multiple machines, for example, his office PC or his home PC or his portable computer or a smartphone, then in download and delete mode, POP3 partition recipient's mail message over these three machines. In particular, if receiver first read a message on his office PC, he will not be able to reread the same message from his portable at home later in the evening. Whereas in download and keep mode, user agent leaves the message on the mail server after downloading them, and thus receiver can reread the same message from different machine. If we can access a message from work and access it again later in the week from home. During POP3 session between user agent and the mail server, POP3 server maintains some state information. In particular, it keeps tracks of which user message have been marked deleted or not. However, the POP3 server does not carry any state information across the POP sessions. This lack of state information across the sessions greatly simplifies the implementation of POP3 server. With POP3 access, once recipient has downloaded his message to the local machine, it can create mail folders and move the downloaded message in the folders and so on. He can then delete the messages, move messages across the folder, search for the message by sender names or subject. But this paradigm, namely the folder and the messages in the local machine, poses a problem for nomadic users who would prefer to maintain a folder hierarchy on a remote server that can be accessed from any computer. This is not possible in POP3 server. The POP3 protocol does not provide any mean for user to create remote folder and assign messages to the folder. To solve this problem and other problem of the same sort, IMAP protocol, which is defined in RFC 3501, was invented. Like POP3, IMAP is a small mail access protocol. It has many more features than POP3, but it is also significantly more complex. In IMAP server will associate each message with a folder. When message first arrives at the server, it is associated with recipient's inbox folder by default. The recipient can then move the message into a new or user created folder, read the message, delete the message, and so on. The IMAP protocol provides command to allow user to create folder and move message from one folder to another. IMAP also provides command that allows user to search remote folder for messages matching specific criteria. Note that unlike POP3, the IMAP server maintains user state information across IMAP sessions. For example, the name of the folder, which messages are associated with which folders, everything is maintained. And another important feature of IMAP is that it has command that permit user agent to obtain component of message, that is partial message. In case of bandwidth problem, user can even download the customized partial message also. Thank you very much for listening to me till end.